Right, hello. Today I'm doing a video on what I should have been using when I got bit by the MOT and would have, well, definitely saved me from being banned. Now, a lot of people have been saying you need this, you need that, and you know, I have actually done all of this, it just wasn't quite ready yet. I'm going to first of all just show you the cable I've used for the system. It is Arctic grade 3x6, it means it's 3 cores of 6 mils, and it's 300 to 500 volts rated cable. Obviously, anyone thinking of using this type of plug socket with that type of switch, it doesn't matter how many neons you got on there. You can see my thing has a neon there. It didn't do me any good. It doesn't matter how many neons, how many bells, how many whistles, they shouldn't be used for it. Don't use them for it. I was being stupid because I wanted to do something and I hadn't finished what I'd set out to do in the first place. Basically, I'm still waiting for an ammeter and a separate line filter because I'm trying to get a really smooth DC for running ZVS drivers and things like that. Now I'm going to run for a brief description of where the wires go, how it works and whatever. Obviously I'm not going to tell everyone how exactly it's set up because I'm going to be brutally honest. This may look like a really technical system, but it's not. It is so simple. Within a couple of hours work for a normal person, admittedly I can't drill the holes myself, I can't screw in half of the things that need screwing in because of my back. But for a normal person, without any problems, you could build this in a matter of a couple of 3 hours. You know, it's not hard. And if you can't wire this unit up, then you shouldn't be playing with an MOT. That might sound a bit harsh to some. I've had a lot of years experience with electronics, starting off with small electronics kits, working my way up and up and up. And, you know, I'm now playing with things like this, the X-ray transformer, which, to be honest, it's still a hard thing to be doing. There's things that I'm still learning, that I'm getting information from other people, but I feel confident enough to do it because I've had the experience with high voltage. Now it's mainly for the X-ray transformer and MOT stacks because I want to make a 2 stack and I want to make a 4 stack. I've got like 15 MOTs under my bed that I've made this unit. Now it's a safety unit and it's a ballast unit. Basically it starts off, I'm going to unclip you from the tripod. Right, basically it starts off at the consumer unit. That consumer unit is directly linked to my consumer unit of the house. And that is running on a 64 amp breaker, all correct cable. It then comes out of there, this is for the variac, and goes through a pre-line filter, which is there, and then comes from there into the variac, out of the variac and into the unit. Right, now once it gets into the unit, all of these switches and buttons and everything like this is all just, you know, is completely separate to the variac. The only way the variac actually joins to this is through contactors. That's it. This is the kind of switches you should be using, big contactors that can take the current. Now I can't show you the one that's in here, but this one is an old version. I have a 90 amp, it can take 90 amps, 600 volts version of this, but I mean mine is a newer version. It's got auxiliaries on it as well. It's got a 70 amp auxiliary and a 30 amp auxiliary, so it's got an NC and an NO for running buzzers and all sorts. Basically what happens is the power goes into the unit and I then can decide from here how it's all going to run. Now I first of all I can turn the power on and I can have a buzzer to allow me to know, and when I push this you'll hear the contactor go and the fans kick in. Okay, now the fans are for cooling, one's for cooling the ballast, the other one is for cooling the bridge rectifier I've got. It's a full wave. It's made from 4 380 amp 1200 volt diodes. Now I don't have to use this foot switch, but when doing things like MOTs, very important, very handy. That kind of thing is going to save your life. When I'm playing with things like ZVS drivers, I don't want to be doing that. Having my foot on a switch, sorry, so I can push the live button, and that will turn it on and keep it on constantly. I would like you to all know that I do actually have an indicator light up there for when the variac's on. As you can see, the variac isn't on. There's no power. This unit works completely separately. There is no power up there even when this switch is on. There has to be another switch turned on for the variac to work. Now then, you can see lights off, lights on. So lights off means these settings, lights on means these settings. So you've got 250 watts, an extra 500, another 500, another 500, adding up to 1750 watts. I've also got this here, which thanks to Sparky Projects, I'm pretty certain I got that right. He pointed out that the socket that I was using and the connector I was using wasn't a particularly great socket for sort of safety issues. Now I've changed that. I don't know if you're going to be able to actually see what that is. It's actually a 4-pole speak-on. Now, yeah, I know they're not rated for, you know, for high voltage or anything. This is running a few milliamps at 240 volts. Now, the maximum is something like 80 amps that these sockets can handle, and they're rated for 250 volts, believe it or not. So it, you know, it can handle it fine. Now you'll notice that when I plug this in, the first thing that happens is that light comes on, so that I know that we've got power. Now the thing is, I've decided I could have put a switch to turn this off, but I've decided if I'm going to be 2 meters away on this cord with this foot switch, that I'm obviously doing something that's dangerous enough to warrant having that buzzer going whether I like it or not. So as soon as the system's energized, I get a buzzer, and it won't stop until I hit this. Now that switch is in parallel with that switch, so if I've got that turned on and I've left this on, it will also do the same. That will be the same until I switch either that switch or again the foot switch. I think that's pretty much it. The only thing that I would like to say, this safety switch here only cuts off half of the power. It only cuts off the live feed. Now that's all very well for the control unit itself. I'm just going to take that off because I'm going to forget and it's going to start buzzing. Yeah, for the control unit itself, that is absolutely fine. I'm quite happy to cut just the live feed. A lot of you will all know how variacs work. Now the problem I've got with the variac is if I cut just the live feed, I've still got my neutral feed sitting just here. And I've got an earth just here on the actual variac itself, this whole earth, you know. So if I were to use this how a normal safety switch should be used, I could still have a high potential of getting an electric shock by touching any of these or anything that was connected to it. Say I had an MOT or a neon sign transformer that was earthed. If I touched the inputs, I'd still get a shock between the neutral and the earth. So that safety switch is actually hooked up directly into that consumer unit, and it's hooked up directly to the earth and the neutral. Now the reason for that is when that button is hit, that doesn't just turn off one breaker, one trip, one anything. That turns off every single piece of electrics in the house except my fire alarm. That resets. That's basically the same as if you were going to hit the test button on an RCD. but I've actually got RC CDs in the breaker, in the consumer unit downstairs, and one of those runs the house and the other one runs the built-in fire alarm. So, you know, I feel this is the safest way to go. Some people have said, you know, it's a really strange way of doing it. I think it's safer with a variac, as I said, because you've got the potential of the full-on neutral to the earth, and you've got the potential of getting a very, very nasty shock from it. Admittedly not as nasty as what I had the other day, but still very, very nasty. So I think that just about covers it all. People have asked me why I put those sockets in. I've got those sockets to run my frequency generator, my scope, my SR meter, my digital multimeter, my bench PSU, you know, my soldering iron, all stuff like that. I will never, ever, ever be running an MOT from one of those again. I don't know why I did. It was a stupid, stupid thing to do, and trust me, I shan't be doing it again. The only other thing I've got to the control unit is I've got an ammeter up here, which is running from a current transformer, which is obviously a little bit high for what I want to use. I mean, I have pulled 72 amps on this variac, which, yes, is a little bit high considering I run it on a 64 amp breaker. But at the end of the day, they're designed to take it, and a 64 amp breaker will quite happily carry 72 amps for a small amount of time. You can probably see I've got one of these built in, voltmeters, and the other one's just sitting there. That is because I don't yet have the DC side put in, because I don't have the filter, which is why I wasn't using this control unit. So I'm going to make another display. I've got more of this perspex and have them all in there. That is the fan that I had running from here. That was actually running when I hit myself with the MOT. Now, if that hadn't been on, I wouldn't have actually shocked myself, because I'd have been able to hear the MOT running. So I don't like that fan anymore. And as you can probably all see, Germaline, it's good for bands. Let's put it that way. So I hope that sort of like gives you all a bit of an insight into the measures I have actually been trying to take. And the measures that, if you're going to be playing with this kind of stuff, that you should try and take. Probably doesn't help having distracting pictures like that in the wall, but there. So yeah, I mean, hopefully you can see, you know, the lengths that we go to try and protect ourselves, and one silly mistake, one silly lapse, you know, can cause a lot of damage. I was lucky. I could have died, I could have burnt my hand off, could have burnt my arm off, could have done anything really. So yeah, and also one other small thing, I only actually found out when the missus started talking to me again, because she didn't talk to me for quite some time. She was rather peed off with me, that it wasn't actually the RCD that had tripped downstairs. She had actually heard me shout. She was in the bedroom, and she actually came, hit that stop button to make sure everything was safe. Obviously hitting the stop button was the last thing I was concerned about at the time, so that would explain why the RCD had tripped downstairs. So thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, any questions, I will help as much as what I can, but as I say, I'm not telling anyone how to do all this. If you can't figure out how to make that control unit, you shouldn't be playing with MOTs. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of young kids out there, they think, oh, an MOT, I can just get that, plug it in, blah de blah de blah. Not the case at all. I cannot say how dangerous they are and how you should not be playing with them. I say I'm playing with them. I'm not playing. I'm doing things. I'm making experiments. I'm keeping myself occupied. But don't play with this stuff unless you know what you are doing. And you know, start off with 555 timers and a transistor. Use flybacks. You know, start off with low voltage first. Don't go above 50 volts. You know, it's so dangerous. And then work your way up from flybacks of 555 to ZVS. Even NSTs before, you know, good old neon sign transformers before an MOT. Anything, just not MOTs. Alright, thanks for watching.